Hello and welcome to another episode of Guyanese Swag, where we bring you interviews from leaders across the diaspora. My name is Key McKay, and today we have with us an international award-nominated soca artiste. His name is Patrick Joseph, or in other words, Pahjo. Let me go. How are you doing today?
Let me go. I'm good, man. I'm good. Always in high spirits, just buzzing because we had a few new releases. So I'm in a very, very good headspace today. What about
I
yourself?
love it. The first question I ask every guest is, what part of Guyana were you born?
I was born in Georgetown, Guyana, Norton Street, Wortmanville. So we got to big up everyone from Wortmanville.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you migrated from Guyana. How old were you when you left?
I was 19 when I left Guyana, as a cricketer, actually. So I was proing up in the UK, and I ended up settling in the UK um, ever since then. So you could get away less time for murder at the time I've been up here now.
And so you left as a cricketer, and then at what point did the transition happen into music?
Well, I got into music, more event curating, I would say in 2000 and, oh my God, I'm going way back here, 2010, I got into curating events. So I got into soca and, a lot of both parties and concerts and stuff I was just hosting. And it was just prior to the lockdown that a friend of mine passed away before lockdown. And he used to always say, if you want to do this thing, do it. If you want to smoke, smoke. You want to drink, drink. Stop putting things off. Just do what you need to do. And then when he passed away, those words sort of stuck with me. But always knew I wanted to do music, just didn't know how to start doing it. And Joel Brown out of Guyana, Joey Too Cool Productions. We went to school together, so he started sending me his productions because he was starting out his journey too. And I always used to vibe and say like, yo, this one's good, keep going. And there was one rhythm he sent me, and it was soca, strangely. And I wrote something like 15 minutes, sent it back to him. We did nothing with it for like 8, 9 months. And after my friend passed away, that's when I hit Joel. I was like, yo, this thing's still available. I'm ready to do this. He's like, you serious? I said, I am so ready. I couldn't hold a note at that time, by the way. But that's when it kicked off with the intention of launching this song to target Guyana Carnival, because I was hosting events during Guyana Carnival. And COVID came and said, you're not going nowhere. Stay right where you are. So that's
Wow.
my journey started.
Wow. And so once you jumped on that first soca rhythm, did you make a conscious decision to stick in the soca genre, or was that
No,
just by default?
it was weird because I didn't know the direction I wanted to go. At the time, it was anything he sent me, I wanted to write on. So he sent me something. I did dancehall. I did 2 dancehall tracks. Well, I did one dancehall track with him. A producer from Toronto, reached out to me called Smoke Shop, and he's like, "Yo, you sound good. I want you to do this dancehall thing." So I did it, but I never felt like that was my comfort zone. After the two, it was like. But then a producer over here, who was actually a good friend of mine, I didn't even know he was a producer at the time. He hit me up and he's like, "Yo, you serious about this music?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Right, I'm gonna take you under my wing." And I was like, "What you talking about?" He's like, "Well, I'm the guy behind Black's Hulk and all of this." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. You produced Hulk?" And he started listing. I was like, "Okay, let's work." And since then we've worked together. That's Shaker HD Productions. He's from Montserrat, but based in the UK. And he sort of forged and formed my sound and helped me through the process, understanding the business of music, understanding the process of recording. So soca just, that was from after those 2 dancehall songs, that was it for me. I was full soca head. Let's go, nonstop.
Wow. Okay, let's back up a little bit. Being an adult, because you were 19 when you got to the UK, so you were already
Right,
an adult.
right.
How was that experience for you being an adult migrating? And then did you have family in the UK, or were you starting from ground zero?
It was difficult. I have two sisters over here, but I'm so headstrong that I came up here and I struggled. It wasn't easy. My father died like a year after I got up here, so I went home, and my first son was came about from that trip. So it was a case of now, okay, you're a father too, and survival. And there was days when I had nothing, and struggled, and fought hard to get to where I am today. And it was a very, very long journey of graft. So music had to take a backseat during that period. Although I knew at the time I wanted to do music at some stage, it went way back. The priority was survival, and that was the basis of my first song with Shaker, which was called Life So Sweet. That was my whole journey coming to the UK, my struggles, and absolutely everything I fought for. So it was more of a reflective song. So as an adult, it was difficult, but you know what? It's got better.
I think that for those, first of all, to migrate from anywhere, it takes a certain amount of mental strength, and then to
Yeah.
even get there and survive. I think I was reading a statistic the other day about the number of people who migrate and then go back home because the idea of like not forgetting everything you learned, but having to integrate what you learn into this new
Mm.
environment and then survive through all of that. Um, Coming from Guyana and then going to the UK, it's an entirely different culture, entirely everything different, like
So true.
nothing like you saw on TV.
No, because I came here thinking I'm just gonna be when I'm in a plane. It's like, okay, it's gonna be people in suits and horse carriages. I was so ignorant to what I was gonna face when I came here. And then it's this whole modern city, because I was so used to going to New York, never came to the UK before, and so coming here is like, okay, this is very modern, this is a lot like New York, okay, let's see what we got. But in terms of survival, I wasn't prepared for what was about to hit at all.
What was the hardest part of that? Was it the moving there as an adult, or was it just the starting over? What for you felt like this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life?
It was the starting over, I would say. It's finding out processes, understanding how things are done, trying to find opportunities, trying to get a job, for people to accept you with because they if you don't have certain levels of like a degree and masters and stuff, it's difficult to get certain jobs. So it was a case of, okay, I have to accept I need to start from the bottom and rise, so it was more the patience, because I used to get frustrated a lot, and I always had to remind myself to stay patient, your time's gonna come. So I would just say it was more of the mental side of, when is it gonna happen? That was that was the toughest period for me, going through there. But then you start to see the light, and you can breathe a little bit, things start to come together.
What was the first moment that you felt like, okay, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel? What was that first opportunity?
Um, I would say when I joined the army, I was in the British Army for 5 years. Right. So the first year, it was still, what the hell am I doing? Why am I in the army? Moment of madness, because I didn't need to join the army. Moment of madness. I think it was the second year when I realized, okay, this could potentially be a career. We settled in permanent housing. My son at the time was going to school, and everything was going. You know, felt normal for some reason. It felt, okay, this is normal now. I think that's when I said, okay, I don't need to really kick myself as hard as I used to kick myself anymore. And it's around that period is when I got into the event stuff too. And yeah, it sort of took off from there.
As a father, what was that experience like? Newborn baby in a brand new country, and now you find yourself in an army. Dad, did you knew you were? Did you ever think about going into the army as a kid, or was that
It,
just
I,
like,
it was always there because I had a cousin who was in. I have two cousins who was in the army in Guyana, so it was always, would love to experience it. And I had a friend here. He passed away earlier this year. He used to always talk about it, so we used to speak about it together because we used to live together. And so it was just a case of when, because we always knew we were gonna. Let's just join the army, as you know. But as a dad, it was scary because you never knew what you was gonna expect in the forces, especially when they told you you're about to deploy to Afghanistan, and it was a case of, oh my God, right? Am I gonna ever come back? But God works in mysterious ways. I sort of injured. I not sort. I injured my back during training, so I never went out to Afghanistan. I actually ended up being a tracksuit soldier because I ended up playing cricket for the army and for combined services. So most of my tours used to be just traveling the world playing cricket for the army. So I had a very easy military career in that respect. Um, but in his early days, when he was a baby, obviously how could we provide for him? We actually had to make a decision to send him to Guyana during his very early age to be with his grandparents for a little while, so that we could stabilize and make it. So for 2 years, I didn't see him, and that was probably one of the toughest periods for me. I remember taking him to the airport, seeing him go and coming home and seeing one of his shoes, and I was unconsolable for hours because knew that was the connection. So for me, that was a tough period, but it was also a motivating, like a driver, right? This 2 years, it's all guns blazing here. Don't care what it takes. And I think that acceleration during that period is what actually helped me to come out on the other side a bit faster.
wow? I think sometimes when people look at social media or they look at where you or we are today in your career, they don't know all the back stuff. They don't know all the stuff that went into that moment to just
Correct.
create it, even just a song or whether it's you on the field playing cricket, just
100%.
the stuff behind the scenes that nobody ever see or talk about.
Hmm.
When you're on stage and you're performing, how do you merge those two experiences? Being on stage and this is my life when I'm off this stage.
It's a switch almost, because I am nervous before I go on stage. It's really, if I am not nervous, I don't think I have a good performance. But when the nerves hit, it's like you go out there and it's like it's happening. You've got to do it. So there's no freezing and dropping the mic and running off. I've had moments like that before. I remember my first performance. I went out on the stage and the mic got wrapped up. So the momentum I was going out with, the mic. So everyone's there just looking at me as we untangle this mic. And my energy now is dipped low. So I'm trying to do the set and everyone's just staring at me like no one's moving. And I'm going, oh my God, I can't do this. But, finished it, came off shaking like a leaf. And, it was just speaking to other people who said, listen, these things happen. Just learn to have fun on the stage. But then, you come off stage and you're still on a buzz. But then you have to accept that you're coming home and you're that again. And, you know, it's a complete switch because there's still the working world that I still work. So, it's not music full time. So for me, it's okay. I need to be able to come off of that high very quickly and try and focus to deal with these other things at the same time. So it's tricky, but I'm sort of got the hang of it.
For the young artist, young musician, young cricketer, young anybody looking at this video, listening to this audio, and going, I want to be a cricketer, or I want to be a musician. You've had the fortunate opportunity of being in both of those worlds and still living
Yeah,
in that world. What advice would you give to them?
do it. But if you're gonna do it seriously. Take pride in what you do. put your all, practice, and that's with music too. And never be afraid to take good advice or criticism. Try not to be aggressive or eager to respond. Listen. Um, it helps. It's not going to be easy. So if anyone ever tells you it's an easy road, it's not. What you know, constant practice and consistency is what helps you to be where you need to. So do it.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break for a message from today's sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Meet Jenny. While strolling through her Instagram feed trying to find something to do this weekend, she saw a post from Guyanese Swag advertising a concert happening in her local area this weekend. Excited, she clicked on the link, which redirected her to the comprehensive Guyanese Swag Business Directory. To her delight, Jenny discovered a variety of upcoming Guyanese events taking place in her city. What is really cool about it is the directory gives her all the details she needs. She gets to see business profiles with pictures, videos, and even special offers. Plus, she can easily find contact information and read reviews from people who have attended previous events hosted by the same promoter. Now, Jenny visits GuyaneseSwag.net on a weekly basis. It is her go-to website for finding things to do on the weekend. If you are an event planner or promoter and want to reach a ton of people in the Guyanese community, visit GuyaneseSwag.net. We've got a huge membership base across the diaspora, and it's the perfect platform to get the word out. So, why not give your event the exposure it deserves? Just visit GuyaneseSwag.net. It takes less than 5 minutes to list your event.
Hello and welcome back. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Key McKay. I'm your host, and today we're here with Pahjo. He's an international award-nominated soca artist, and we were just getting into some of the good stuff. So my next question for you is, music, like anything else, there's two sides of it. There's the side of being an artist, and then there's the side of the business side, which sometimes I don't think people calibrate that. It's a business, and you have to get the business mind going in order to be profitable. What are some things that you have done to position yourself so that you're not just in a role of always being an artist, but then managing that side of the business?
Well, the first thing that I did was, and I think I was fortunate or lucky to have certain people around me who were very honest. So from the jump, they were right. It's all good that you can write a song, but this is how the business works, the business side of things work. And big shout out to Daryl Gervais, who is the writer for a lot of the big Kes songs and Patrice songs. We did a writing camp together, and he sort of showed how the business side of things work and where you need to be signed up to and the registrations and the different places, the BMIs and the PRS and the song trusts. And there's so many different, bodies that you need to be registered with. And then, there is the contractual stuff, understanding how splits work and mechanical royalties and then there is publishing. It's so much to get your head around. But I think I was told very early to learn the business of music. Once you get that side out, it's like templated. You always know what to do. You could just copy and paste and send. And then the music becomes, you can just focus on that. So for anyone, I would say just learn that, figure that out first. Get that done. Tick all the boxes that you need to tick because there's people making money off your music. So if you don't do these things, you have to do it. Just money out there.
At what point, first of all, how do you balance all of it? Because then there's the business side of it, there's the writing, then there's the producing, then there's the promoting, and then there's the going back and doing it all over again and keeping the momentum of trying to make the next one better than the last one. How are you managing all of those different areas and the personal
crazy.
life?
It's crazy. I've burnt out a few times. Trying to just go, go, go. And then when you don't have the balance, it puts a strain on your relationships too. And I've been in positions like that many times, whereby you neglect one thing to deal with the other, and so forth. Some people are fortunate to have managers who can, who can sort of do those things for you. But when you're independent and you're doing things yourself, it's almost trying to, you got a plan. You have to literally get a diary and say, between these hours I'm doing this, between these hours I'm doing that. If not, you will keep crossing over, and you know you lack sleep, you start to get cranky, you get agitated, you then have writer's blocks, you then have, you get sick. Balance is so key. And for me, I'm still learning to find the balance, but surely one day it will come, because as I said, I write not just for myself, I write for other artists too. So sometimes it's just constant. It's just constant, and then the neighbors don't like it too, because because you're there singing late in the night trying to write a song. So uh, it's a fun process, but you know, some people will find the balance faster. For me, I'm still sort of trying to learn to be better with it.
You tapped on something that I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper into. On the note of relationships, one of the things that my husband is a musician and a music teacher, so he's on the go all the time and he's traveling.
Right.
And I find that for people who are creatives, there is this space that you go into when you're in that space. Is like, leave me alone. I need to think. I
Yep.
need to focus. And then on the other side of that is balancing the home life with on the road and on the go when you're gone. And then when you're back home, it's like you're trying to get back to the place where you can be on the road because that's what's bringing the money in.
Correct.
How are you balancing the personal life with personal relationships to make sure that you're being fruitful in that area, but then at the same time you're still feeding your gift?
It's difficult. I think I've learned from past mistakes, but I still sometimes make those mistakes. As you said, sometimes you get a concept or you just have to do something, and you forget that you need to be doing something else at the same time. So you find your partner gets frustrated and gets agitated and feels as if they're alone in it, in the relationship, uh, because you're trying to finish that aspect of things. It's hard, a lot of apologizing, you know, um, to get it right. But when you have a good partner with you, they tend to understand also that, okay, it's, he's doing his work, or whatever it is. He's just got inspiration there to find something. And as you know, with musicians, you would hear a melody in your head today, and in 10 seconds it's gone. So sometimes you just need to drop what you're doing and go and just put it down quickly. So but in terms of that side of things, as I said, it's still a work in progress. I'm trying to be better to you know do better with my time, and have family time, and then music time, because it's very important. You don't ever wanna just shut someone out. But again, communication helps, right? If you let your partner know, right, listen, I've got to do X, Y, Z, blah 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 blah, it helps. But for me, sometimes I forget to communicate too, so I'm always in the doghouse. Right? It's a crazy world, man. It's a crazy world.
What is it like when you're on the road? Because when you're at home, you have one routine. When you're on the road, it's a whole different routine. So,
Right.
one, when you're on the road, for the people who love your music and they follow you, they're like, what does he do when he's on the road? Walk them through that. What is that experience like? Some of the behind the
Wow.
scenes stuff.
It's a lot of rest and relationship building, because especially if you got back to back gigs, you can't be speaking. You'd be surprised how quickly you lose your voice by just coming off the stage and trying to have a conversation with people. So it's exercising that discipline to rest. But also there's also times when it's okay, we need to build relationships with other musicians, other event curators, and try to get that balance. In terms of partying, sometimes partying is far and few when you're out there, because you go from hotel to a gig, back to the hotel most of the times, get something to eat and rest. Um, but at times you can't be antisocial, right? You've got to go and show your face at some events. But it's um it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of discipline, and sometimes the inner party animal wants to come out and you just want to, and go get drunk and go crazy. But you have to always remember or think about what's to come the next couple of days. And it's not about the next day, it's what's coming the days after, the weeks after, because you gotta keep your body, physically intact to deal with that, because it's taxing on you. Um, Fitness is something I've neglected, but I've learned a horrible lesson.
Yeah, it's discipline. It's discipline being on the road. Sometimes it's not the glamour that everyone thinks it is. It could be taxing. So as I was saying, in terms of me right now, I'm trying to get back into the fitness because this is an off season. So it's fitness and fitness. So this is day 3 of a jogging in June thing I'm doing every day. I've got to do a run. So day 2, and I'm already hurting. So I've got to go out today, then we're done and have that run too. So
You said a really important word that I want to dig deeper into, discipline, because I do think that people get the misconception of the stuff that they see on camera or the stuff that they see on stage is what's happening 24/7, not understanding that there's a certain amount of discipline that you have to exercise just to even have the build up for that moment. And when
sure.
you're not exercising that, the burnout comes quicker and they come faster, they come more consistently. Um, how for you, what does discipline look like? I know you talked about now getting back into exercising and even dieting, but dig deeper into that for me. What does discipline look like for you, and how are you balancing to make sure that you're being consistent, because discipline is exercise in various areas, so how are you
Right.
managing?
It's learning to tell yourself no at times, and accepting that. You hear no from other people, and it's easy to accept it, but you are your harshest critic, right? And you got to know what you want and how badly you want it. So if you know that you wanting something will cause you to have to neglect something else, you've got to be disciplined enough to follow through with it, and cut off. Sometimes you cut off friends, you cut off family for times, and it's not that you lose love. It's just that you're exercising this focus, and don't want to use the word discipline, but it's a form of discipline to just get to where you need to get to, um, because you know how one mistake can reset everything that you've worked for, and then you go. Even emotions, you need to have that emotional discipline too, because you meet so many weird people, and sometimes energies don't mix, and you want to say certain things to people, and you want to just punch someone sometimes, but you gotta have that, just to remember you're a brand, right? You represent your brand that you've worked so hard for. You need to fall back and just smile and wave, deal with things professionally, and it's once you remember that it's you're the brand. This is what you want. You always got to have that end game in mind. This is what you are working towards. You will find that discipline. You might make mistakes along the line, but when you realize that you cannot keep making mistakes, you have to stay focused. That's when you will dig deep. But it's important. It's imperative.
What song was your favorite song of all the songs you have in your catalog? Which one was the one that you had the most fun creating, and which one is the one that if you had to put it on repeat, you would listen to all day?
Okay. The the song I'm gonna switch it up. The song that had more meaning to me, right, was a song called Friends Beyond Borders, because that was written during the lockdown, and it was written for a group of people that I met online, right? So we all used to follow this DJ out in New York called Kevin Crown, and we all used to join his Zoom every single day, and the Zoom got closed off, and we became the Zoom family. So it was about 40 of us every day during COVID, 24 hours a day. We would be in Zoom chatting. So you never felt alone. And I told them, I said, I'm going to write a song about this, and I'm going to call it Friends Beyond Borders. So every time I hear the song, sometimes, depending on the environment, I get emotional with it. I can't perform it if I'm around them. We've all met up now, forming it around them, it's sometimes trigger something. You feel the throat going. You gotta, so that one is a special one. Life So Sweet is another special one because that's my journey. But there's a few that I could listen over and over. Risk It All is one of my favorite ones. That was the first time I got to actually work with Daryl Gervais, who's the writer for Kess. He wrote that song for me, and boy, that one I can listen to and repeat. But I've got some new ones that that we just released. We actually released one of them. It's called Rolling. That's a vibe. That's more energetic type of thing. And at the moment, that one's on repeat for me. But my music, I could listen to my catalog on repeat. To be honest, if you, that's not being boasty, but I love my music, man, because it reminds me of where I was, and every song could tell a story about where you were when you were writing it, what headspace. It's yeah, I love my stuff. You guys need to love my stuff too.
Yes. I have two more questions for you, and then I promise I'm gonna let you go. Next question. As a musician, artist, every time you put your notes on paper, you put your songs on paper, you're putting a piece of you on in every single track, on every single song. How was it for you going into that space? Because I find that it's vulnerable when you're taking pieces of you and putting it out there, and then it's like, well, what does people think? What will they say? Like, how did you, first of all, going into that place in the beginning, how did you find it to just put yourself out there and be vulnerable and being okay with it?
The first couple of songs, as I said, it's your truth, right? Risk It All was difficult to write because it's now I'm letting the world know I struggle, right? Sometimes from that song, a lot of my family home knew what I went through. No one knew that I was struggling here. I kept it even from my mom. So for that was actually accepting and being vulnerable to let people in. The other ones are learned experiences, hearing things, little concepts that you would witness in an event, or you would be walking on the road and you see something, hear a conversation, and it's more your truths that I try to write on. Because if I ever try to write something that I can't relate to, it's a struggle. It's a complete struggle. I've been in phases whereby some of the stuff that I've written, I've torn up and thrown it away because it's not my identity. It's not who I am. But I had to learn to accept that not everyone will like what you write. Regardless of, you can have 8, 9, 10 writers write the one song. Not everyone out there is gonna like it. There's gonna be someone who's gonna say, "Nah, that one is crap," and I'm okay with that now. At first it used to be very, God, if he don't like the song, but now it's, if the team thinks it's a strong song and it's a strong record and we're happy to release it, yeah, we'll go with it. And we are very critical of the music that I write, And as I said, it's good that I've got people around me who can hear what I'm listening to or writing, and if they think, no, we're not doing this one, we're not doing this one. If it needs work, we work on it until we get it right. So just being you. Music, you have to be free to be you and expressive. It shouldn't be chore. It shouldn't be thinking about what people are gonna think about what you wanna express. I had to learn that.
And my final question for you, as somebody who's in the public eye all the time, there's different opinions and different perspectives, good and bad. How do you listen to that stuff and filter it out and say, I'll take this, but I'll leave that, or you know what, this person is just, we're not gonna say the word, but how do you balance all of that and maintain your true identity?
I'm human first, right? So what you do, you hear it and it affects you just like the other person. But again, you have to take a minute just to sit back and not react and think about what's actually being said and go, actually, that's just someone's opinion, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. If it's good criticism, and the people that you would take criticism from, you always have that person or those people that you hold high above you, and you listen to what they're saying. but it's also filtering the I don't want to say the good and the bad. It's too simple of words. It's the negativity and from sometimes those same people because everyone wants to see you succeed, but not be more successful than them, right? A lot of people are like, especially in the music industry. So sometimes you would have a great song and someone will just nitpick at it for the mere fact that they want to nitpick at it in the industry. And you know, as I said, I'm human. You know, it affects you sometimes, especially if you look up to them. But again, it takes time for you to learn to just say, okay, you know, that was the word that I had to learn to say. Okay, that's your opinion. Thank you, appreciate it, and then you let it go and move off. But if it's something that it's genuine and you know it can help you to help to make your next song better than the last, I take it and I implement it. So just block the noise.
I love it. And you guys heard it from the master, Block the Noise. On that note, tell us about the new stuff you're working on. How can people connect with you, collaborate with you, all that good stuff?
No problem. So we just released two songs on Friday, which is a bit of madness, but you know, we doing it. So one is called Challenge, and this was produced by Bajan Republic out of Trinidad, and it was executive produced by BP Soca in the UK. So that one is a fun track. The video was shot in Colombia. I didn't manage to go down, but all the dancers are from Colombia, and it's out now on all platforms. And then I got another release called Roll It featuring Leah Sophia. She's from Trinidad also, but that was produced by Shaker HD. That one's out. That's a rhythm project, so that one also features Anika Berry from New York, uh, and Skinny Banton from Grenada, and that one's picking up a lot of traction. So we're now moving into that party phase of summer. So we're getting all the party music out there now. So, but we've got a few more releases to come. Um, I am about to start a project with Tamika Marshall uh, from Guyana, aiming to release probably um, in August. I've got a massive project that we are about to release probably at the beginning of July. So we've got a lot of stuff coming. You guys just stay locked in. Follow me on my socials. Pahjo Music Official, Pahjo Music Official on Instagram. That's where you tend to find me. Feel free to drop me a message. I will always reply. Once you're not trying to sell me Instagram followers or but yeah, just send me some love, but listen to the music. Let me know if you like it.
Wonderful. And on that note, we thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We're going to put all the links to his music, everything that he's working on in the description. So while you're down there, make sure you click, you connect, and send him some feedback. And listen, when you go listen to the music, be ready to whine, whether you're in the car or the house or whatever.
100%. We not doing it easy. You got to get up and dance. It's a fact. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. You know, it's been a pleasure, and it's probably one of the most detailed interviews that I've had. I don't think I've ever spoken about my personal life like this. So I thank you for not being generic.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the interview, and thank you for hanging out with me today, man. I really appreciate you sharing your time. I think it's the most valuable thing we have on the earth, and so for you to share that with me, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Much love.
Same here. Have a phenomenal day.
You too.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell.